We have implemented the Facebook banner ads at the bottom place of the activity. And now we're gonna start implement the interstitial ads, and I'm going to call this a full screen ad instead. So in this Facebook ad manager class, I'm gonna create a new function for install the full screen ad. We're gonna call this create interstitial. But the first parameter is a string ad ID. We don't need any layout Facebook to place with because we know that full screen ads is only one position to display. It's not just like a banner which you can place at the bottom, the center, or the top, which means it has a flexible position. So in this body function, we're gonna instance full screen ad object. The first parameter for this constructor is the contact activity, and then the ad ID. And now the same as the banner ads, we can trace the event listener, but in this parameter we're gonna instance it from the interstitial ads listener class. And next we have to implement the function, and we're gonna select all of these functions. As we can see here, we have two additional functions. We can use this function, it's the same as we did in the banner, so I'm going to copy that and paste it in the error function. And then we're gonna change this to the inter, as mean that interstitial. On add load, we do the same, just change the text. And we're gonna copy this and paste it on the add click. About these two methods is working the same. It's a trigger when the ads is displayed. So I'm going to toss a message in this display function. And for the dismiss function, it will call when the ad is displayed in a full screen device. And we just click the X button to close the ad, and then this function will invoke it. And now these overridden functions, at first we'll call on add loaded functions, but we not display those yet. And then when the ad is ready, the function display will call next to another. And we're gonna call build function after this config listener. And then next we're gonna start load ad. Okay, for this full screen ads is a little bit different from the banner one. When the ad is loaded, it will not display yet. It's gonna keep the ads in the background. So if we are ready and we want to add display at the screen, we're gonna call it in onload function. So we're gonna call it in this method. And then this line code will take an action after the ad is loaded. And then it's gonna show it automatically. Okay, now we completely implement the function, but the ad is no place to operate because we're not called this function yet. So in main activity, we're gonna call that function, and we're gonna use this ad ID for the simple ad testing. Okay, now let's see how it's works. I use the Mirror app with my real device for testing. We can see the banner message. Oops, it's got an error. Okay. Actually, at the moment we can see the full screen ads is displayed. It means that it's worked fine, but maybe we have not implemented it properly. Let's go to error log to see what's going on. And we're gonna change this to an error, so that it's gonna filter only the error state trace. Okay, we got an error as the logging impression because we didn't remove this to do. That's why it's gonna throw an exception. So we're gonna comment this line. So remember, we have to remove that line. It's completely different from the Android Java. We can leave it alone and it's work fine, but for this Kotlin project, it's not. Now we can see the ad is displayed in the full screen, and we can see that the toast message is shown here. And then now if we click this X button, it's gonna close, and we will trigger the on dismiss function, which is we toast the message. So let's test on the click function. We're gonna relaunch the app, and we're gonna click it. We can see it's worked fine with the toast message. We have done very simple full screen ad display overlay on the activity. And we also can make the ad display between a transaction activity. For example, we already land on the activity which have many products display. And if the user tap one product for the read detail page, it's gonna show the full screen ads before we can read the product detail. And this concept maybe we think that just call the function in the detail page, but it's not just like we think. If we call that directly, it's gonna display the information at first. But basically, we know that the ad is need the internet connection to fetch the assets before it can display. It means that it have a two steps to do. It has to load ad first and then gonna show the ad. To handle that, we have to preload ad first place. And then when we go to detail page, we're gonna call the show ads. Alright, hope you understand the concept. So in this class at first, we're gonna define a component object with undefined full screen ads as global. We're gonna call late init for assign the instance later on. So in this function, we're gonna assign that instance to the component object. And now this variable can use any functions in this class because we have defined here. Okay, now we're gonna remove this line code. We don't want it to work after the ad load, but we want to show it manually. To do that, we have to define another functions to display the ad when we call it. We're gonna call it show interstitial without any parameters. And then we're gonna check if the instance is null. We're not going to do. It means we return it back. Then in case it's ready, it means that it loaded. We're gonna show the ad. Else, we're gonna load the ad again. And this method we can call from another activity to display the ad. And now we have only one activity. We're gonna create a new activity. We name the activity. And then we're gonna select the language as the Kotlin. So in this second activity class, we're gonna call that method show interstitial. So let's create a new instance. And this we can call show function directly, because we already instanced the object in the main activity in here. So the function we have defined the component object, which means that the object is shared to another, even if we create a new object at FB manager in the second activity. Now we're going to add a button to open the second activity when we click on it. We're gonna insert this button for open new activity. Okay, so we're gonna find the reference button. And then we're gonna set the action, the click listener. We instance the intent to initiate the where we want to open the activity. And now let's run the application. Let's see how it works. Okay, the activity is launching and we can see the toast message. The full screen is loaded. So when we click on this button to open the activity, it's gonna show the ad. Also, we can see the toast message is about the ads display. And if we close the ad, it's gonna show the second activity is the behind that. And now we're gonna click it again. That is gonna show nothing, because the previous ad is loaded and a current ad is not loaded. In this condition, we have checked in case the ad is not loaded, we're gonna reload the new one. That's why we can see the toast message is about loaded again. And now the ad is loaded, and then when we click that, it's gonna show the ad. Okay? So here what we handle the full screen ads between one and another activity. The next video, we're gonna set limit ad display when the user is click our ad in a specific time. These methods will have reduced monetized restriction because the ad click rapidly. So hope you learned something here. Please hit subscribe button, like and share the video, and we'll see you in the next video.